Hello everyone, and thanks for joining my session on. I will be speaking about 3 tiers of protection for Microsoft Teams. And before that, I would like to thanks to Microsoft 365 Philly organizers for organizing this event for the community, and the special thanks to all the sponsors who supported this event. So before I start about the 3 tiers of three tiers of protection for Microsoft Teams and SharePoint, I would just like to introduce about myself. That who am I? My name is Adnan Amin, and I have over 15 years of experience of working on Microsoft technologies. I started my career back in at the start of 2004, 2005, and as a .NET developer, and I'm a Microsoft MVP for Office Apps and Services since 2015, and I'm also a Microsoft certified trainer for since 2011, and I was a Microsoft certified MCT regional lead for almost 5 years, and I have been working on SharePoint since 2009 and started as a developer for SharePoint, and then doing customization, architecture design for different forms, and did couple of I don't remember the migration which I did, and have been working on different areas of SharePoint through years. And I have been working with Fortune 500 companies and successfully implemented SharePoint, where number of users are around 550,000. And I love as a trainer, and I am also a blogger, but I love to speak on conferences and events. And due to this COVID-19, I got the chance to participate in the rest of the world because traveling was a bit difficult for me due to my job nature. But now it's very easy for me to join sessions in different parts of the world. And if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out to me on my Twitter account, which you can see on the screen there. Adnan_Amin. You can visit my blog for all the updates, all the technical topics on which I write. And also I have a Facebook page, and also I started a YouTube channel where I will be sharing trainings about SharePoint, Microsoft Teams, and development on SharePoint, and all these areas. So and one more thing, the core areas where I love to work on these days are SharePoint. Its implementation majorly out of the box implementation, because I did too much development on custom development on SharePoint, but I love to do out of the box development, implementation of SharePoint, and working on Teams for past almost 1 year, and successfully implemented for custom couple of users. And I also after the COVID-19 started, I also participated with the community on different tech forums, so that we can give trainings to teachers and students so that they can get the awareness about that. So the topic which I am going to discuss is one of the is not just very important, but for the organization, this is one of the key area to learn about. And I'm is about the security. If we discuss about the security or protection in for content, it's one of the key area. And today I will be discussing about security in Microsoft Teams, that how we can set up the security. I will not be discussing that how we are doing the security to Azure AD or things like that, but I will be discussing because after authorization, how we can apply security and protect the content on Microsoft Teams and also in SharePoint Online. And I will show you that how we can create public and private teams. If you already have experience of working on teams, then it will not, you might not be interested on this area, but for those who do not have much experience on teams, so this would be interesting, that how these teams are managed and what is the purpose of this and what is the difference about them and how security is managed. And I will also let you know about the guest access, because when I told you about security and protection, which we need to it is required when we are working in teams for organizations. There are users who are outside the who are outside the organizations, like which could be your vendor or your customers. So you want to share content with them on Teams, and but you want to minimize their access for the content, or you want to protect some of the content which is shared with them. So how we can do this and why that will be required, I will be sharing all this information to this session. Here 3 tiers of protection in Microsoft Teams, I will be sharing the recommended configuration for Teams and their associated SharePoint sites for the protection for secure and easy collaboration, so that you can only share that content with your vendors or external users or within your teams which they need. You can restrict their access or you can restrict them for sharing content to other users without the site owner permissions or something like that. So what are the privileges you will have when you configure these things? I will be sharing these details on three tiers of protection in, and then I will show you. I will also show you customization of security on SharePoint side, which also applies on Microsoft Teams, and how you can restrict the user access. Because right now you might have seen that when you add a guest user or any of the member to the team, they have member access on the team, and they also get the same contribute access on your SharePoint associated SharePoint site. So how you can restrict those? If you already have experience on working with SharePoint security, then it will be easier for you to understand. But if you don't have experience of that, then it will be good for you to how we do that customization. And at the end, I will show you, I will give you a detailed demonstration about sensitivity labels. That sensitivity labels are just like policies which are used to apply on your content and also on your documents, that how you can, when I discuss about the three tiers of protection or security in Microsoft Teams and SharePoint, then it means that I'm talking about out of the box and the default options available for Teams, and also how we can use these sensitivity labels for that protection. So let's start now. On Teams, there are three types of basically teams, like public, private, and organization. Whenever you set up a new tenant, and you will see these three options. Private teams are those where people need permissions to join, that the team will only, or the team owner can add specific users. Public teams are those where they will see the option for the team, and anyone can join within the organization or whoever have access on the site. And the organization wide team is that where everyone in the organization have access. They can easily access that team, or either those are your customers or external users or the internal users. And I will also show you in next screen that how we will give access to you guys. Let me show you, let me demonstrate this thing to you, so that because I will be covering a few topics in detail, so I will be sharing more details about that. I just assuming that you have basic understanding of Teams. So if you can see screen, I have already opened a couple of users here, and this is my tenant admin. I just logged in with my tenant admin. I am just creating a new team here. And because I already configured sensitivity labels on my tenant, so I will be getting the options while creating the team. Here you can see that I have created 4 different sensitivity labels. So if I'm selecting, you can see that all the team creation options are disabled for me now. If I'm selecting for any of these options, it will only be showing me the private option. And if I select internal, only which I mark as public, it will give me option to select public or organization wide. And this is my demo tenant, and I was doing this for just for demo, that I was just playing with sensitivity labels, that what are the other options available and how much I can explore this thing. So whatever I will be sharing today is all based on my experience with teams which I learned by doing these experiments. So I'm just creating a team with internal users only. So here, this is the team which could, where I can add internal users only, and this one where I have allowed to have guest users. So I will first create team one team for internal users. I'm naming it as Philly Red. I'm just naming it as Philly Red. And here I can add users. I'm adding user Alex here, and add Philly. I'm adding to these two users, and now I'm adding Alex as owner, and now adding in a guest account. You will see that it will not allow me to add any of the guest account. This user is already part of the guest account, so it should be there, but it's not showing up here. So I cannot add this user. So I will be sharing more details about that on my next slides, how I did that. And I'm now creating one more team for the where I will allow the guest users. I'm naming it Philly Green. Mhm. Here I will then add Alex, and here you can see the guest user will be showing up here. This is the guest user. Now it's showing up here. I'm adding these three users and adding Alex as site owner. And we cannot add guest users as site owners, but on SharePoint level, we can give them full access to SharePoint Site Security. So these are the users are here. If I go to the site, here you will see that this is the site for user Alex, and Alex can see these two sites here. The SharePoint site is not yet provisioned. It's provisioning yet, so it will take a few minutes, a little time. So meanwhile, we can discuss further. We can move back to the slide and look for the next slide, and then come back to this one. So what I have created a public. I created two private teams, one allowing guest access and one restricting the guest access. And next, what I will do now that I will let you know that how to customize the how what are the settings required for allowing the guest access to the teams, and what are the organization-wide settings which are required. Now, I will also tell you about the settings which are required on the teams, and also on for the SharePoint and Office 365 groups, and what are the settings required at the Active Directory level, which are also required to restrict user access. So what I'm going back to my admin center. If you go to the organization setting here, here you will see that if if I click on Teams, I already configured that setting, and but make sure that you need to. And it's not necessary that you need to set up the organization guest access based on your requirement, tenant requirement, but most of the organizations require to allow guests to join their teams. So you need to enable this option here for the guest access. And also, if you can see here for Office 365 groups, if I go to this organization setting of Office 365 group here above here, here I already have enabled the let's guest group owners and people outside your organization to groups. That, we are allowing users to be part of the group. And then the third option is that being this setting for SharePoint site, we can do it from here also, but it's better to do it on the SharePoint admin center also, where we can also set up the guest access for OneDrive. Here I have allowed that new and existing guests. And if I go to the SharePoint admin panel, here is SharePoint. So I will go to the sharing settings. policies and sharing. Here you will see that the gas axis and OneDrive axis allowing to new and existing gas means whoever the gas either these are new or existing one, those all will be allowed. And at bottom you can also enable the settings for the for guests also, like that you can allow any specific users or only people in your organization. These are for the file for the sorry for this one, that which users are allowed. And there's also setting for which are, I'm just missing that. Where is that setting for where we can also define the domains? This one. We can add domain specific domains which could be added to to the SharePoint sites. Like I can allow my domain as to be part of this setting here. You can see and it's added here, and but I'm removing this check for now. And the now what I have done so far now that I configured the settings from the Office 365 Admin Center for SharePoint, Teams, and Microsoft Office 365 groups. But now there are a few more settings for the on the Azure Active Directory. I will go to Azure Active Directory here, and we'll go to the users. I believe roles and administration. Here there's an option to allow guests to be added to the guest inviter. So this is a group. Instead of creating custom permissions, I'm just allowing adding few users who will be able to add users extend to other users as a guest to the organization. This is if you're having a secure organization, then you can restrict the number of users that who are only who allowed to add external users as a guest to your organization. So this is the organization-wide setting that which overriding all the organization-wide settings that I added two users who are allowed to add guest access to Teams or to SharePoint. And now I'm going back to the Active Directory settings. Here I have one more setting for the where I can configure the guests. That was on. Yeah, I went to the external identities, then click on the external collaboration settings, and here there are few settings which you might need to disable for your organization, because by default, if you go to your tenant, and you will see that guest can invite is enabled by default like this. So you need to disable this one because guest can invite some external users. That's why I shown you earlier that the inviter group. If this one is disabled, then you can define users there. And I also disabled this for the members, that no member can can add users. And why I did these settings, because for highly secure environment, if because I will be sharing these details on when I will share the 3 tiers of protection, then we need this type of security that where we can restrict the user access. And I enabled the guest users permissions are limited, and it means that guest user only have access to their content only, and whatever the access we are going to give them. And admin and users in the guest inviter role can invite, means whoever added onto the get inviter group are the only users who can invite other users as a guest. Now what I have done shown you so far, that how we can customize the security at the organization level for the guest access. And you can, if you haven't, you might have seen that your organization allowed, but these are the more details which I shared with you, which you can apply on your organization. Now I will now I'm going to the if I discuss about 3 tiers of protection. So there are because I just jumped into this topic, that I will be sharing details about this later on the topic, but just so I'm showing you that there are three basic layers of protection which are recommend. These are not the hardcore definitions, but these are the best recommendations which are available, that how an organization should define the protection level for Microsoft Teams and SharePoint also. One is the baseline protection, and baseline protection can further divide into two, like public and private protection, and then sensitive protection, where you can define some of the basic sensitivity applications configurations for your teams. And the third one is highly sensitive protection, where you can apply sensitivity levels on your documents, on your emails, and for your highly secure data, like where you have NPI information or credit card information. If you have data like that, or any information which could be critical for your organization, and so you need to make sure that that is part of that highly sensitive protection. And what are the settings required for those protection, I will show you during that sensitivity levels configuration. And then after that I will share the details about that, how baseline protection, sensitivity protection, and highly sensitivity protection are configured. But before that, I will show you the customization of security on the SharePoint side, which applies on the Teams, on Microsoft Teams. Uh, I'm going back to the SharePoint side here. So thus I created two teams here. If you can see here, the files are created here. It means the SharePoint site is here, up and running. So just for a testing purpose, I'm just also uploading two of the documents. I just drag two documents here. Similarly for the team red. So now I'm going to Alex. Alex have the administrative access, and you can see that if I will discuss about Team Green, because I have a guest user on this one also. So if you can see that Alex can upload. Alex is the site owner of this team. He have access to add new files, upload new files, and all these options. Similarly, if you go to Adley, she also have an access to post anything on the page, can upload files, and can also modify wiki. So, and similar, if I go to the guest user, which is this is a guest user, you can see it here. Another, I mean, guest. And if I go to you can see only that, because user is added only to green team. And here is this user also having the same access, the members access. So now what I'm going to do on SharePoint side with Alex account, I'm going to open the site, the content on SharePoint site. So the thing which I'm telling you now is this is the basic level of security which we could apply, because I have seen and why we would need to do these things. Let me tell you what I am going to do. Because on SharePoint, the security is managed on the site settings, and also the documents have document libraries have separate security, even and documents also have separate security. You can all these are inheriting permission from top. You can break the inheritance and can customize the security easily. So I'm going to this library settings. And here, if I go to permissions, you can see the permission which are, and it's inheriting the permissions. And if I go to this green members, you will see the Pili green members group. It means that this is the security group which is which having guest users, guest user and Adley. So what I will do, I will go back to the site. Not here, because we are at the journal document level. This is the folder which is associated with the channel journal. So I will go to its access detail. Once. Here I am going to break the inheritance here. And let's see if I remove the permission from here. Okay, so right now I'm removing the user from the group. So its impact will be on the whole site. That user will not, none of the user, Atli and Adnan will not be able to use any of the content on the SharePoint site. So I'm removing this from here. And if I go back to the Alex account on Teams, Alex having the same permissions because Alex is the site owner. But if I go to Adli or Adnan, their permissions will be changed. Now, no file is shared. You can see this option. Or Wiki will also be showing the similar option. Same with Adnan. And you notice one thing that if Adli try to say something, it will be posted here because this part is not part of the SharePoint site. So similarly from here, this is the page of Adnan. Now Adnan will not be able to see this thing, any of the content. Same with Wiki. So what I will do now, because I want this user to be able to view these documents, but don't have to modify the documents. So I will go to the security for the back to the security here. As you will see that there are three security groups. If I click back here, the owner having full control, members having edit access, and the visitors having read access. So I will go to the visitors group and will add that user group here. Freely members. So now if I go to Adley, she will be having access to the documents now. She can view the documents, but she cannot modify any of the documents because she having view access on these documents. So the same case with Adnan. And if you want to allow, there's a require. And why I did this thing because recently after COVID-19, I got a couple of requests from some school teachers who are working on Teams. They have separate channels, but they want to restrict student access to these folders because all the students having guest access or they having the part of the tenant and they are able to move go in all the folders and they want to design this structure in a way that student can only be allowed to visit their folder and they can only upload content to their folder. So they can't go to check the assignments or documents of other students. And these are the real requirements from organizations also that you want to protect some of the content from your customers. So this is one of the way that how you can play with this in the security and you can customize that. And I did for the general channel from here on this screen, but this could be you can do it for uh, different channels, even with private channels or something like that. And now, if you want to, if I have to allow Adley to have contribute access, then what I have to do that I will go back to the Alex account, and from here I will go back to the members group. I will add the user directly, or but when I add the user here, it will get the access, contribute access to on the whole site. So what I will do, I am going back to the because when I give in visitor access, that it means that the user got view access through on the whole site collection, and whole Microsoft Teams. So I'm going back to the documents and journal. Sorry, back access because this is a responsibility of team owners that how they want to manage the security of their site. And here I'm directly giving access to edit access and sharing everything. Don't want to send an email invitation. So now if I go to Adley here, so now you will see that the upload option and new option will be available to her. So this is how we can also protect and restrict user access. But now I'm going back to the slide, and so we can move on to next one, that how we can do it using sensitivity labels. So for what we have learned so far, that how so far we have learned about the different type of teams, public and private. And then we learned about that how we can customize the guest access and on the tenant level, and who is allowed to add guest access. And then I shown you that how we can customize the security for a team on SharePoint level. Now I'm going to show you that how that we can customize these things using sensitivity levels, and what are these sensitivity levels. So when what I have done, that was a manual effort which I need to do. That I went to the documents and I did that, and but there are and but this could be possible that when we have a small team, or we do not want to play much about the policies, because for me, for a small team this could be easier. But when we are talking about large organizations where we have business processes, and we want the policies we want to apply, then all these things at the administrative level, then we need to create the policies for those. And I might be naming it differently, but I am calling sensitivity labels as a policies for the organizations, which could be defined for the containers. Containers means your teams, Microsoft Teams, different teams, and your SharePoint site collections could be associated with SharePoint with Teams, or those could be separate site collections. And also your Office 365, you can also directly associate it with your Office 365 groups, which could be your site, intranet sites, or whatever you want, how you would like to do. And also you can for protecting your documents, you can define different type of sensitivity levels, where you can define the different that those documents can only be viewed through your managed devices, and how you want to show them. So I will show you that how we configure these things, and how you can encrypt the documents so that those will not be viewable to other users, and can block or limit access on the SharePoint site. So this is again the setting at the SharePoint site level, and if you already have idea about that, and if that you know that you can define the access limit at the site SharePoint site level. Let me show you quickly so that I can show you here quickly. Then I will move on. This is a site for the. I'm here logged into the site using Alex, I believe. Yes. So this is the security at the document library level. Now I'm going to the site settings, and we'll go to the site security from here. So security is not visible from here. So what I need to do, I can directly go to the access the security page from URL also, but I will show you that the proper way. Click on the gear icon and click on the site permissions. You can modify it from here, but like you can change it from here, but I will go to the advanced permissions. This is a page which can be accessed from URL, and this is the access request setting page. And from here, you can define that who will have the access request, that allow members to invite others. You can disable this thing, and allow access requests means if user got a link of the site, and they try to access the site, and if they don't have permissions, they can request the site owner for permissions. So this can be disabled, or you can enable this one that you want to allow, but you don't want to allow members to share the site content. And similarly, when let me allow this thing. And when a document is shared, if I go back to the site here, if I'm sharing this document, you will see that these are few settings which I will be discussing further on the that these are the settings. These are few of the settings that people in the organization with the link can access. Anyone, because I already applied sensitivity levels. That's why this link is disabled here. Otherwise, this will be enabled, and people with existing access. It means that the people who are already part of their team will get access, and specific people means I will be giving access to some specific users. So these are the few of the access request settings which could be defined. You can customize it using sensitivity levels, and you don't need to do it at the site collection level manually. And then the way just I've shown that you can block the limit at the SharePoint and OneDrive level. Let me, and I will be sure that and also you can control access to the unmanaged devices. Unmanaged devices means when you all the devices which are registered with your Active Directory or your Intunes. Intunes that all the devices or mobile phones are registered already there, and those are only allowed to access that info to open those access those sites or access those documents using sensitivity. You can configure that using sensitivity levels, and even you can also restrict user access that only they can access the information through the web browser, or you can also allow them to access from any type of device. Let me show you the configuration, and then I will show you that what are the different layers of protection and what are the difference in those. Because once I show you the sensitivity levels, then it will be you will get much better understanding about these things, about the three tiers which I discussed earlier. I'm going to my tenant account again, and now we already did the guest settings here. And now I can go to compliance with security settings. I'm going through security, and here you will see the option for the security. I will go to classification and sensitivity labels. I already have created few sensitivity labels, and here few I will call as containers, because those I created which will be applied at the container level, like at the teams level, at the site collection level, or at the Office 365 group level. And for these two, I created as a document level, which will be applied for the documents and like your office documents or email. And this confidential and highly confidential, I will also show you the difference here. And you can create a new level, but the provisioning will take some time. So for that, I already have created these few labels here. First, I will show you the configuration of this one, because it's very simple to configure. I'm editing that level. I given it a name so that the name should be meaningful, so that anyone who is applying that can understand this thing, that what is the purpose of this level. I'm Okay, now you have, when you're creating container level, sensitivity level, you will have the option to encrypt all the information in that container, like information within the documents or things, but this is not required in most of the cases. So I'm only configuring it at the container level, and I'm just selecting none at here. I'm not doing it for the, and this is also the option for the documents, office documents. So I'm not enabling it for on this stage. And this one is the site and group settings. When you are doing it, configuring it for the first time, you will not see this option. This option is disabled, is not enabled on your tenant. So to enable that one, you need to run a few couple of PowerShell command, which I'm going to show you here on the screen. So here you can see that because I did the because this is a new machine and I was not having any Azure module installed on that one, so I added the Azure module here, and then I connect it to Azure AD on my tenant using my administrative global admin account. Then I access the template ID of the template ID, and then review the settings here. I will just share because I'm not going to detail of these commands because this will be a separate. It will take some time. And if I run this one, you will see all the default settings for my tenant here. And this was not enabled by default. The first one, enable MPI MIP labels, and but I enable that one and like that, and then verify this thing. Once we enable that one, it will take almost 1 to 2 hours or maybe a bit more because it taking a bit more time for me to enable that option on my sensitivity label wizard. So once you have it, then you will see this option that you have the option to allow create it public. Anyone in the organization can access the site, private, or you can set it none. You will only allow specific users for that on that one. And here is the option that you want to allow guest access or not. You can disable this one if you don't want to allow any of the guest access. And even when I share the detail that you can add users to the guest invite group on Active Directory on Azure AD settings. But if this option disabled, then none of the user can add any of the guest account. And here you can allow full access from desktop apps, mobile apps, and web. This could be any type of device, or you can allow limited that user can only access this site, this specific team from browser only. They cannot use any desktop app or desktop or any other tool for accessing any of the content. And this one is the block access. It means that access from any of the device is blocked, any of the web is blocked. Only managed devices, access from managed devices is allowed. Means that the devices which are already registered to your organization network will be used to access the content or access these teams or documents. So I have selected this one for because this was for internal only. And this should be public. And then I'm not going for that would be separate discussion for auto labeling for Office apps. So I'm leaving this for now. And then you can review your settings here and can publish these settings. Similarly, I will quickly show you this one, that what I did for this one. Yeah, for this one. Because I think I enabled guest account this one. So here I limited the access on the web only. So user will not user cannot access documents or any of the content from the from client applications on Windows platform or any of the device. And the same settings here. And now I'm going to show you the information settings which I did for the documents. Because there, I created two separate sensitivity labels for the confidential and highly confidential. And the recommendation which I will be sharing later in the session that will be at the you can make it more secure as per your requirements. So I'm just giving the name to the labels and encryptions. So here, because I mark it as confidential, not the highly confidential or highly sensitive. So I'm not doing any encryption on this one. But what I'm doing here, I'm enabling labeling on branding marking on this one, that like adding a watermark on this one and adding a footer on to that one. You can customize the text on that one, that whatever all these documents will have customized settings. And I'm not selecting any of the site and group settings here because I'm creating this label for the content only, for the documents only. And any user will have access. And if I go back to the, because I haven't done any encryption of this one. So any user who will open the document when the sensitivity level is applied, they will see that bookmark. And now this will show you that how that where only specific user will get the access, that what type of access we can define on this label. So here you can see that I applied the encryption here. You can define that assign permission to the users that who will have access to this one, and you can also expire the content up after a specific time that you can like this is just like we are automating the process and allowing offline access. You either you want to allow this content to be available offline or it can be available when it is the system is connected, and this could be either managed device or unmanaged device. And here I am defining the user access here, that which user have who can modify the user or who can view the content. Here these are different roles, and here I can add a user here and can choose the permission level here, that this user can co-author the document. This user can review the document. It have limited access, and the viewers only allowed to view the document. And then I added some branding on this one, content marking on this one, that I added some header on watermark on this one, just like the confidential one, and the same settings then. Now I'm quickly going to the SharePoint side here. I'm going to Alex's screen. I edit a few documents here, and I'm opening this document on browser here, and we'll change the sensitivity label of this document. So similarly, when sensitivity labels are enabled on in your organization or in your tenant, you can see them on sensitivity labels on your Word Office applications, also in emails. Here you can see that. Because this is a demo tenant, I didn't configure it properly, but you can configure them as per your requirements with more meaningful names. Like in HR documents, you can separate them. You can separate the finance documents with separate labels. I'm marking this as confidential only and saving the document. Just make sure that it is applied. Now I'm going to this one and apply marking this as a highly confidential. And if I go to SharePoint site here, I can also show you here that I can modify modify this view. And add the sensitivity to the list view also. You will see that sensitivity is also showing up here. Now I'm going to the Adley view, and because she is the organization user, she will be having access to both of the documents. And Adnan is a guest user. Adnan will not be having access. So what we have done so far, that I have shown you the basic access earlier, that how we can, that could be the baseline. Then now I just demonstrated you that how we can have confidential content here. Actually, because I just created the site, so it might take some time to show me the watermark here on the page or footer. But when I try to print the document, like here, that it will be showing me the watermark on the page. But after some time, because when I apply the document, it will be showing up on the document on the document also. But because of when I tried to print the document, it's shown the watermark on the document also. So similarly, if I try to open this one, I'm logged in as a user Adley. So when I try to open the document, which is highly confidential, here you will see the option that it is highly sensitive. And when I try to print this one, I will not be allowed to print this document because she's a reviewer on the document and she's not allowed to print that document. You can see the difference here. And I'm not sure that either you can see this document or not because this is a secure document. And when I go with to the third user, which is external user can see both files. You can see here on the screen, and when user click on this one, which is confidential only, user can see the document and can also take up. And for him, it's showing up now that this document is showing the watermark to the document. If now here's the sensitive document, highly sensitive, and let's see that what will be here. You can see here that it did not show the correct message. Sorry, there is a problem. But hopefully Microsoft will update the text here in future that it should be valuable here. So if I go to the SharePoint side here from here and try to open that document, even if I try to open that document on Microsoft Client application, it will be showing that it's applying the sensitivity, the security settings. Here you can see that protected by a rights management service. And even if I also try, let me also show you quickly that if I try to open it in client application, open in app. You can see there it applying the uh, information rights management service on settings on the document, and then once it processes it, it will show the same error message like this one. We have few more minutes, and let me quickly navigate through the rest of the slides where we can quickly discuss the 3 tiers which we have seen doing that. On the public one, and I have created, I told you that there are 3 tiers: baseline, protection, sensitivity, and sensitive and highly sensitive. So on baseline, their baseline could be public or private. Public means that anyone can join the teams, or private that only specific users. But the information will be almost the same. If you can see here that on the team should be public, and on the private one the team is private, and access everybody in the organization including B2B users, means the guest users, and honor the members can create private channels and new and existing guests and all these informations. And here if I show you that only members of the team other can request access to the team site, that we are allowing the guest access, which I show you on the SharePoint site level, and the information will be the private, and default sharing link is set to only people in your organization. And here we have the same settings, and same as for the site level access, the full access from desktop applications, mobile apps, and web applications, which I have shown you that how we configure them. And similarly for the same site settings, site owner, the members and people with added permissions can share files, folders, but only site owners can share the site. So this is how we can configure the baseline protection, which is the default protection level. I'm not talking about the security on the tenant level, which is two-factor authentication or like those, but I'm talking about the application level changes. And now I'm going to the sensitive information here. You that information now it should be a private team. It should not be allowed public access, and only team members will have access, and the owners can create private channels, not members even allowed to create private channels, because owner will be the key responsible person for the sensitive information. And all the members who are part of the team, either those are guests or users, will be allowed to share the information but allowed, but this is based on your requirements. If you do not agree with my recommendation that for the sensitive protection, then you can change it, because these are not the I would say that define points that you need to follow these steps. You can change these as per your requirement and allow limited and web access for unmanaged devices. You can allow all devices or you can allow limit them. Just like in my case, I allowed them all to on all the devices which I shown you on demo, but it's restricted on other sensitivity level. I disabled access from the devices. I only enabled on the web only. And you can also define specific people who can share the link. And similarly, for the sensitivity labels to be classified teams and control guest sharing and unmanaged device access. Means you can define that at the protection level. And now if I go to the highly sensitive, here the main, if you check the last point, which is the key, that you can protect your content. Also you can apply sensitivity labels on your content, that how you want to secure the information here, and how you want to apply documents and encrypt your files and emails also. And site level unmanaged devices access, I shown you that you can also block the device access, any of the unmanaged device access that user can only access to those devices which are part of your organization, which are already registered, which are managed by your organizations. And the rest of the settings are same for the sensitive and highly sensitive information. Let me know if you have any query, any questions. Then we have few more minutes, so we can discuss those.
No questions yet in the Q&A.
Okay. And if you want to stay in touch, then you can reach out to me on Twitter. There's information which I shared earlier, that you can follow my blog. I will be sharing few series of video trainings on that, how I with just like the step-by-step guides, that how I configure these sensitivity labels, what are the effort required, and what are the configurations which are required. And you can also follow my Facebook page, where we are doing a couple of events on almost weekly basis or monthly basis, so you can also be part of them. And at the end, you can add if you can add your feedback for the event, and also feedback can add feedback from me on the speaker's feedback through these QR codes. And thank you so much to the organizing team for managing this event and giving me the opportunity to speak.
Awesome session, Adnan. Thank you very much. Very good topic.
Thank you.